Hello darling, and welcome back to my Stardew Valley series episode 2. In this video, I will be exploring summer and providing you tips, tricks, and helpful information to improve your Stardew Valley summer experience. With that said, let's get on with the video. On day 1, I loaded up my inventory with snacks and fertilizer before heading out to hoe the areas around my wooden planks. After I completed this, I headed to P-Dog to buy my summer seeds. So based on the layout, I did write a plan for my farm, but I didn't really expect to spend all my money here. Oopsies. Now it was time for the hard part: watering, fertilizing, and planting. As it was closing in on 1 AM, I was panicking and all over the place, and I remember I needed to feed the chickens, but I need to put the fertilizer down. This is what happens when you buy over 300 seeds. I can't do it. I really can't. I'm gonna pass out. On day 2, I luckily didn't pass out and I started the mundane task of watering all my crops. Once I completed this, I wanted to earn some money, so I headed to the ocean to do some fishing. When I slept that night, I was shocked and ecstatic to reach level 6 farming. This meant I could finally make all my quality sprinklers that I've been so desperately wanting. Yay! On day 3, I made myself 25 sprinklers and 6 lightning rods. I like to plot my first few sprinklers on the furthest points away from my water source, so while I'm gathering the additional resources to make more, I have less distance to travel. After I completed this, I headed to my coop to feed the chickens, and as I was petting them, I noticed they were all brown. Where am I gonna get white eggs from, Marnie? Huh? After I had calmed down, I bought 2 chickens and 2 cows from Marnie, which I named Raven, the acid bath princess of darkness, Roger, Mufasa, and Moana. I am Moana! Sorry, I got a bit carried away there. This was just more fun than saying I spent the rest of the day mining. Anyways, on day 4, I started by watering the remaining of my crops and checking on my animals. I feel like now is a good time to explain my layout idea. Due to blueberries yielding multiple harvests, I decided to buy the most of these to maximize my profits. I also bought a small amount of the other seeds too to ensure I can complete the community center bundles. This layout will also bleed into fall when I want to plant my cranberry seeds in the places where I planted my blueberries, which you will see in the next episode. I then went to Pierre to sell some tea saplings before heading down to Marnie. I bought the remaining 2 cows, Mushu and Mulan. Who is that cow I see staring straight back at me? Why is my reflection someone I don't know? I'm sorry, that's the last time I'll do that, I promise. Anyways, I then spent the rest of the day laying out an area for my animals. One tip you can do is purchase grass from Pierre, plant it down, and then put hardwood fence on top of this. If you didn't know, grass will spread every day and the animals like to eat the grass. However, they can't eat the piece of grass that is blocked by the fence. This means the grass will continue to grow around the area and your animals will never go hungry. This is Life Lessons with Torne 101. Thank you very much. I also forgot to mention that I purchased an apple and a pomegranate tree. On day 5, I'd realized I hadn't actually gotten to the bottom of the mine yet, so I decided to venture even deeper to collect some resources and to inch myself closer to the reward on floor 100. I guess I was lazy though, and I only made it down to floor 94. On day 6, I finally made it down to floor 100 and I had delicious thoughts of baguette. I continued mining down to floor 105 before calling it a day. Yow! On day 7, I went mining again and made it all the way down to floor 120. This adventure consumed the majority of my day, and although I may not show myself petting my animals, you best believe I am doing it every morning to improve the quality of their produce. When I slept that night, my combat skill reached level 5. On day 8, I returned to the mines and continually elevated down to floor 40. Usually around summer when everything is growing, I like to do this to fast track obtaining the burglar ring from the adventure guild. Coal is usually a big problem for me in the early stages of the game, and with the burglar ring, it helps alleviate the stress. What is the burglar ring? Well, once you kill 500 of these little bouncing dust sprites, you can complete a quest to collect the ring. The burglar ring provides you another chance to obtain loot from a monster. When you kill a monster, the game generates somewhat of a dice. If the odds to receive coal from a dust sprite is 50%, then the odds to not receive coal is also 50%. We can say 1 on the dice is to receive coal and 2 on the dice is to not receive coal. With the burglar ring, you receive 2 die, So, you have 2 chances to receive a drop. With this in mind, you could receive 0 coal if both dies roll a 2, and you could receive 2 coal if both dies roll a 1. I feel like I explained this bad, but I hope you understood. On day 9, it doesn't actually look like I've transitioned at all, but I have. I'm on a new day now, because on day 9, I did exactly the same as I did on day 8. On day 10, I wanted to plan way ahead for winter. I decided to cut down every tree that I saw and plant some new ones in the areas where you could collect the spring onions during spring. It's important to continually plant trees throughout the seasons, as trees won't grow in winter unless you have tree fertilizer. The tree fertilizer crafting recipe is obtained through reaching level 7 in foraging. On day 11, I collected my maple syrup from my trees and then headed to tend to my animals. The reason I have the trees set up with tappers is for future prospects in fall. I knew I wanted to make a fairy rose bee house setup in fall, and I also knew I wanted to make some kegs too. This is why I am constantly spending so much time in the mines every day to collect coal, as bee houses cost 1 iron, 8 coal, 40 wood, and 1 maple syrup. I also like to store any items I'm going to potentially sell in a chest next to the shipping container so I can manage my money more efficiently. After I'd spent some time on my farm, I decided to head to the luau. Usually I like to save up 3k gold for the luau to buy a star fruit for the soup, which you can buy from the shop, but I forgot and the governor was not too impressed. Grumpy old sod. On day 12, I spent the majority of the day fishing to complete some bundles. As mentioned in my spring video, I really struggled to stay on top of the fishing, so I wanted to just get this done and out of the way while I had a moderately free day to do so. What's even better is I actually completed some bundles too. Yippee! By day 13, my farm was actually really starting to come together, but I realized that I wanted to upgrade my house. I also realized that I had no bloody money, so I don't know what I was going to do because I spent all of it on seed, so I guess roll on day 14. Woohoo! Day 14 is here, and finally all of my blueberries have grown. This means that I'm going to be making so much money when I decide to sell them, and also I will finally have the money to buy my house upgrade. As always, I spent the rest of the day mining because I really need some coal. Coal? You got any coal? Bro, you gotta give me some coal. On day 15, my coal addiction just grew and got worse and worse. I spent the entire day mining looking for coal, and on day 16, I did the exact same thing. I really can't stop. It's a problem. I really need help. On day 17, after I checked myself and Shane into a rehab clinic for our various addictions, which I won't be discussing without my publicist or a lawyer present, I decided to get one last high from my coal addiction, and boy, was it worth it. I finally got the burglar's ring and I felt so relieved. This means I wouldn't have to go mining so frequently now, and I can enjoy other things in the world of Stardew Valley. On day 18, my second lot of blueberries grew, and I could taste a faint honeysuckle and money in the air. Nom, nom, nom. I spent this day collecting more wood, planting some trees in unusual spots, and completing some more bundles in the community center. On day 19, I purchased my first rare seed from the traveling merchant, purchased a barn upgrade for some goats, collected some more wood from the trees around my farm, and collected my burglar ring from the guild. This was quite literally the definition of a slay. On day 20, I started laying out my bee house section of the farm in preparation for fall. The layout I'm using right now is a very efficient way to have multiple bee houses for honey in a small area that doesn't take up too much space. I really love the honey in this game. I'm not quite sure why, but it just looks so cute. I then spent the rest of the day mining for more coal for more bee houses. I love the bees. On day 21, my cowshed was finally upgraded and I purchased some cute little goats called Barney, Ramatra, Woolson, and Hornswoggle. I then visited the traveling merchant and I was elated to see a red cabbage seed in which, if I planted it with some Dulux speed grow, it would be ready for harvest before the end of summer. I then spent the rest of the day cutting some trees and creating a section for my egg and cheese presses. Yum! On day 22, I had my third lot of blueberries to harvest. One tip to make money in the same day instead of using the shipping container and waiting overnight is to sell the specific items to the person it corresponds to. For example, crops to Pierre, mining things to Clint, and fish to Willie. I then used this money to restore the vault room so I could start exploring the Skull Cavern soon. Ooh. On day 23, I paid my 500 gold bus fare and headed for my next adventure in Calico Desert. I entered the Skull Cavern and tried my best to go as low as possible. I made my way down to floor 28 and things started to get a little rough. As I was realizing I didn't have any food close on my hotbar, I panicked and I was murdered in cold blood. Luckily, I didn't lose anything important, and despite feeling a bit shaken up, I knew I would not let that stupid mind defeat me. I will be back and I will destroy everything in my path. That is a promise, Skull Cavern. When I slept that night, I reached level 10 farming and I decided to choose the artisan profession. On day 24, after some alignment of my chakras therapy with Emily, I decided to visit Robin to purchase a coop upgrade for some future ducks. I then reacquainted myself with the more calming nature of Stardew Valley, fishing. I spent the rest of the day fishing to relax after the mishap in Skull Cavern the day before. On day 25, I harvested my melons and then headed to Clint to upgrade my hoe to copper. I knew I would be looking to further upgrade my house in the future, so I went to the secret woods to collect some hardwood. After I did this, I then spent the rest of the day cutting trees. On day 26, I had my final harvest of my blueberries, I petted my animals, collected some oak resin, then headed to Marnie to buy 4 little ducklings named Donald, Quaxley, Waddles, and Goose. Get it? Duck, 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 goose. The 4th duck is Goose. I thought it was really witty and intelligent, okay? I then spent the rest of the day mining. Ooh yeah! On day 27, I collected my hoe from Clint and sent my watering can to be upgraded to steel, just in time for fall. I then took a bus to Calico Desert to brave the cavern yet again. This time, however, I came prepared, and I made it all the way down to floor 54. On day 28, the final day of summer, I harvested the grass around my farm to fill my silo. I sold absolutely everything I had stored in my chest next to the shipping container and purchased myself an apricot sapling from the traveling merchant. I then donated some items to the community center and then spent the rest of the day cutting trees. When I went to sleep that night, I was astounded by the amount of money I made in just 2 seasons of gameplay. 195,411 gold may seem like a lot, but once you factor in seed costs, sapling costs, farm upgrades, tool upgrades, animal purchases, it will go very quickly. But I guess you'll have to tune into the full episode to see what happens next. And considering I'm a very generous person, I am willing to give my lord a crumb of a preview. So here you go. I purchased roughly 110,000 gold's worth of seeds, knowing that this passive income will be very delicious later on in the game. While in Skull Cavern, I made my way down to floor 73 and I found a cowboy hat.
Cowboy, baby.
So I decided to buy Shane a beer because I'm a pusher, Katie. I'm a pusher. I then took my prismatic shard to the special spot in the desert and received a galaxy sword. My precious. Now that the greenhouse was completed and just in time before winter, I planted my fruit trees in this order. You can pause or come back to the video if you want to copy this layout. This provides room for 3 of each tree and the fruit will produce every single day of every single season. As fall was coming to a close, I wanted to ensure that I would have some money being made while approaching winter. I decided to plant 25 star fruit in my greenhouse and I eventually plan to turn them into wine. If you want to see my keg layout for maximizing profits, I suppose you'll have to come back for my next episode, which will feature fall. Thank you so much everybody for watching this episode, and I'll hope to see you when the leaves are crisp and the spooky season is upon us. Bye!